I'm the Buddy Man.
And I'm Crazy Susie.
And we are in the Eyes of Terror.
And this is number 4 in our lineup of 13 October Scarefest films.
Whatever we're calling it.
I don't know, we randomly call it different things at each filming. So, anyway, this is number 4 in our lineup of 13.
Mm-hmm.
And it is going to be gravy.
Gravy.
Everybody loves gravy. You might not like this kind because this kind is red and sticky.
Yep.
And may have eyeballs.
So let's get this party started. I don't think we really have anything to say right now. We are working on the illustrations. So a few things I'm working on the illustrations. We're still trying to figure out the contest.
Yeah, we haven't quite decided how we want to do it. So
it might be announced, like the contest might be announced afterwards, or I don't know yet.
But what website are we posting the illustrations on?
Right now we are posting them on Twitter and Instagram.
Okay.
And those are both in the Eyes of Terror. So Instagram is probably your best bet.
So if you wish to view the illustrations for our 13 Nights of Halloween, you can view them on Instagram. Or
the Twitter.
The Twitter.
And then we were thinking about starting up a t-shirt shop and probably a Patreon. And I know everybody's getting tired of everybody asking for money. So, and those are different announcements, and we'll try to be as transparent as we can. And we are a little bit behind because we've had issues in our family that need to be addressed first prior to recording. Trying to get these out as soon as possible.
We're getting caught up, basically. So, we're going to get into it. Gravy was done October 2nd of 2015. It's an hour and 35 minutes long. IMDb gives it a 5.5 out of 10. It's a comedy horror. Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 5.2 out of 10. The director and writer is James Roday. Tom Harthen is also he's a co-writer. That's the basic information that we could find. It's a low budget film. We don't really have a budget on it. It's another one of those films that they don't give that information out. The synopsis is, it's All Hallows Eve, a trio of costumed misfits with very special dietary requirements seizes a Mexican cantina and force the staff to engage in a late night of gaming, food, and libations. The only caveat is what's on the menu. Fun stuff. And the cast is Michael Weston plays Anson, Jimmy Simpson plays Steph, Sutton Foster plays Carrie, Lily Cole plays Mimi, Molly Ephraim plays Cricket, Paul Rodriguez plays Choi, Larray Bleru plays Yannick, Ethan Sadler plays Bert, Gabriel Luna plays Hector, Gabrielle Sidby plays Winketta, Sarah Silverman plays Bethany, Stephanie Ephraim plays Laudretta, Kate Regal plays Jazz, Dooley Hale plays Delroy, and James Roday plays Marty. I apologize if I wrecked those names. Some don't come out very well.
Alright, so
a really nice quote. The movie starts out with this quote that I find hilarious because it's obvious that somebody made this up, but whoever made this up, it's funny.
So it is, sometimes there is simply no chemical explanation for why a person is completely batshit. The old noodle is just fried, period. Jack the Ripper's first cousin, Jim, the shoemaker.
It doesn't say the shoemaker.
I think it should.
It doesn't say the shoemaker. You're a mess.
Alright, so let's get started into this ride of a movie.
This is one of our favorite movies, by the way, and it
seems like every movie is our favorite movie.
Well, this is the 13 Nights. you know.
13 Nights a favorite movie.
And we're starting out with the ones that we've seen before because they're just easier to get through.
Yeah.
I haven't been feeling well, and it's easier to get through these. So.
And it seems like every time we plan on doing something really cool, we always have something that comes up.
Such is life. The movie starts out with a car pulling up to a gas station, which doesn't really look like a gas station. It looks like some kind of restaurant or diner or some kind of little ice cream hut or something that was not a gas station that was converted into a gas station. You wouldn't think it was a gas station. Anyway, a car pulls up to the gas station and he goes inside. He gets out. He says, every eve of every Halloween, breathes in the air and just takes it all in and goes inside. He goes in and gets a sorbet. He goes up to the register to pay and nobody's there.
I know when I'm looking for a good, nice sorbet, I go to the local gas station that's been turned. That was formerly a restaurant.
I know, right? Because local gas stations that were formerly restaurants have the best selection of sorbet.
Yeah. The best. Absolutely. The top tier, finest quality, pinkies up.
They must have god-awful grocers where he lived. They must have, no Piggly Wigglies, nothing. Well, Piggly Wigglies don't even carry sorbet. Not the ones in our town, anyway. Walmart might carry some, We don't even live where there's a Kroger. We moved from Nashville, and they had the best, their Kroger had the best sorbet. I wish I could order that shit and have it delivered. I would eat a tub of that every day. Red, orange.
Or was it the blood orange?
Blood orange, yeah. Blood orange sorbet. Whew. Man, I'd have sores in my mouth from eating that stuff every day. Ugh. It's the stuff.
Yeah, it's the Kroger brand. And hey, if you're a Kroger.
That's the stuff right there. Okay, so he's standing at the register debating, should I leave the money? Should I go? There's nobody here to pay, and even says something to that effect out loud. So he's standing there waiting, and the gas station attendant comes out of the bathroom and tells him, sorry, I had a large cup of pink lemonade before work, so she gave him the sorbet for free.
Okay.
She very awkwardly tells him she's giving it to him for free.
And
She grits her teeth and says, just take it. I'm going to give it to you for free.
Well, and there's this really awkward exchange between them anyway. She's wearing bunny ears. And is that awkward exchange that only Sarah Silverman can really do? It's just, I just find her awkward.
Yeah. Yeah. So, they have a very strange conversation. And Anson, who is the main actor that was driving the car, he leaves. He puts on a clown costume and goes to the Mexican restaurant called Raul's. Fancy sounding. He sits outside in the car. A waitress comes out dressed as a Miss America contestant.
But it's misbehaving.
Yeah. She goes back inside, cleans the fish tank, tries to get the order of the couple who is... I
don't know if she really cleans the fish tank or just bitches at the fish.
She haphazardly does it. She tries to get the order of the couple in the corner who is making out.
Were they really making out, or they look like they were doing way more than making out?
They were doing some stuff. The cook and the wait staff are in the kitchen along with the security guard.
Yeah, so why does a cantina need a security
guard?
Maybe
it's in a bad neighborhood. I don't know.
Maybe.
One of the kitchen staff is in another room pretending to be a boxer. He actually dressed up as a boxer for the Halloween spirit, but he's training to be a boxer too, so, he's got to keep his game up. The cook is French and talks to the security guard about her upcoming test. There is a very sad man at the bar who goes to the bathroom, which is upstairs.
Yeah, well, the chef and the security guard more have a back and forth than a serious discussion. They try to rip. Banter. Yeah, they have they try to rip each other up, and And it's sort of cool, but
They have the kind of relationship where they say obscenities to each other, but it's really compliments. So,
where they try to out obscenity each other.
yeah, they try to bash each other to see who can say the worst thing about each other, but it's really the best. It's weird.
I have a friendship like that, so
It's called our marriage sometimes. The bartender is dressed up like a football player. The boxer comes into the kitchen and goes to take out the garbage, and the back door will not open. So the guy who tried to open the door, his name is Hector, he says something to the guard about the door not opening, and she says, I don't know, figure it out. So the owner comes into the kitchen and tells Juanetta, who is the guard, to go and get, is it Carrie?
Yeah, Carrie.
To go get Carrie for the party because Carrie graduated and they're going to be celebrating her graduation. They made a flan, which made my stomach turn thinking about it. Gooey custard nastiness. If you like flan, good for you. I hate it. And so they asked her to go get Carrie. And she didn't want to because she didn't want to leave her nachos.
Yeah.
Because she liked to eat. Yeah. And it was very obvious that she liked to eat. And I'm not dissing big people. I'm a big girl myself. But I come up for air. So anyway, he promised to guard her nachos with his life. And she went to go get Carrie.
Yeah, the only way that... I'm surprised she just didn't carry it with her.
Hey, it's portable. Why not? And like other movies, these people don't have any common sense. The world is going to hell in a handbasket. So, they all go into the kitchen and celebrate Carrie's graduation. They open up the flan. They, do the whole, for she's a jolly good fellow, for she's a jolly good fellow
blah,
song.
Blah, blah.
They cut the flan. And Juanetta finally gets to get a bite of the flan. She's already been asking if she could have a little piece. It's not going to be a big deal. I just want a little piece. And they're like, no, not until the party. So, Well, so Anson, his brother Steph, and Steph's girlfriend Mimi start rounding up the restaurant staff.
Okay, so you jumped from one. So basically, you go find out that Anson pops in and he's like, hey! And he's like, I'm almost done. And they're like, what are you almost done with? And he's like, well, sealing up this door.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I did skip ahead. So after the party, Juanetta was going to go to the front door to go and check to see why the back door was not going to be opening. So she goes up to the front. Anson was in a clown costume and he was welding shut the front door. And she was all, what the hell do you think you're doing? Yada, 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 yada. He goes, oh, I'm welding this door shut. What does it look like I'm doing? And she was flipping out and telling him, you crazy this and that and yada, 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 yada. And she was like, where's Cricket? And he goes, oh, you mean her? She's tied up. So the next person to get tied up was Juanetta. She got tied up. And one by one, they rounded everybody up and got everybody tied up to a chair with a piece of fruit stuck in their mouth.
And this doesn't sound that funny, but it's just the way that they delivered the lines, their actions. I mean...
It is funny because of what they say to her. Because Juanetta was like, you're not going to stick that piece of fruit in my mouth. And Steph says, it's okay. It's seasonal. Yeah. The fruit's in season. We didn't spend a lot of money on it, and it's going to be at its ripest. It's okay. She called it an orange. She said, it's not an orange. It's a... What did he call it?
I don't know. I don't remember.
A Tangelo?
Yeah, I think it was like a Tangelo or something.
A Clementine, or... It was a smaller citrus. Maybe he said it was Clementine. I don't know. He was offended by the fact that she called it an orange. And he said, no, it's a clementine. And she just kept on and on and on. So he plugged up her nose and basically pried open her mouth and shoved it in. Like, you're going to take it whether you want it, so you just might as well just go with it. So they rounded everybody up, started rounding the restaurant crew and tying them up and gagging them with seasonal fruit. Steph explains the rules of the night's game. It's an old school pseudo-European gangster slumber party. The owner asks if he gives him all of their money, would he let his people go?
Let your people
Let
go.
my people go. You know, and Steph is like, you're a really awesome guy. They realize quickly that robbery is not the motive. And Steph starts licking faces. Mimi joins in the fun, then Anston. The owner snaps and yells, "What the hell do you want with us? We want all of you." They start calling the guard Ross, and she will not shut up. So Mimi bites her throat out.
And
I mean, literally, she just keeps on running her mouth.
So
Just yak, 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 yak,
No,
yak,
it
yak,
was
will
that-
not shut up, and it's driving everybody nuts.
it wasn't really like yakking. It was like this like gangster. I'm gonna tear you a new whatever. Like I'm gonna.
You can gag me, you can do this, you can't silence me.
Yeah.
I'll keep on, na 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 na. Well, so she bit her neck and pulled out her voice box.
So do you consider this a death scene?
She wasn't dead.
She's not really a kill scene, but what would you rate this? I guess it would be the first blood scene.
There's no rating it. There's no death.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. You're so disappointed.
I am.
Oh, you're so close.
So
Oh,
close.
it's okay. So, to make sure she doesn't bleed out and die, they take duct tape and duct tape the wound closed.
Yes.
That's some MacGyver stuff right there. So, Steph says, "What the hell? The cat's out of the sack. We are going to eat you guys." That's what you want to hear when you go to work. You're going to get ate. We are going to eat you guys. The name of the dishes are going to be based on what?
Who?
On who is in them. We do this every Hallows Eve. So like I said, they tape the throat to keep her from bleeding out too fast. Steph decides to give the owner a challenge to save the show. They play a game of William Tell, and he will never tell any more tales.
Okay, so we get to our first kill scene.
Yes. So William Tell, they put the owner in a chair out in the middle.
Like at the head of the group.
They have chairs lined up on either side of him, and that's where the crew members are sitting. So they put him straight out in the middle to where there's a straight shot to him. He already has a piece of fruit in his mouth. They put one on top of his head. And they have, what'd you call the weapon?
They had a crossbow.
A crossbow.
And the bolt went flying.
So he has a crossbow to play William Tell with. But he's also
Blindfolded?
blindfolded.
Like the William Tell
So
story.
Steph is blindfolded, and he's the one shooting the crossbow. But Anson makes sure that he's aimed in the right direction and not shooting across the room somewhere. So when he shoots, it goes straight into the mouth of the owner.
Yes.
So, yeah, he's dead.
So what rating would you give that one?
I give it a 2.
Okay, I'm going to give it a 3, but I like the scene because of the mislead. The way that it was shot. You know, it was like everything. It was like a close-up of the bolt. It was... You don't realize that the owner is dead. You just see the fruit roll on the ground, and then the pans down the...
When the fruit hits the ground, you kind of realize he died.
Well, but it could be the fruit popped out of his mouth, or, you know, like... And then, but the really what got me was the music.
Yeah, they chose really good music for this movie.
Yeah. It's not your general creepy music either.
Okay, so Steph tells the chef to follow him to the kitchen, and if he tries anything funny, he will fry his face in a vat of oil. Yannick explains his talents to Steph because they want him to cook his meals for the night. They chain Yannick up in the kitchen and forced him to cut up his friends, cut up the owner, and make him into an appetizer. They play a game with a group of survivors to determine who will get to be eaten next. Wouldn't this be a fun party to go to?
Well, I mean, it's a pseudo-European slumber party, so...
Yeah. So they play a game with a group of survivors to determine who will get to be eaten next, and decide Ross has a clear disadvantage, so they kill her.
Well, okay, so it's a game of 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Yep.
And Hector was saying, well, she's at a clear disadvantage because, she only watches urban films. If it was this or this person, then she would have known.
But she can't respond anyway. She can't talk.
Yeah. So, but she's like...
Right at this time, the man in the bathroom reappears and screams at the sight of Ross being killed. Ross is actually Winetta, but this band of misfits insist on calling her Ross because she wouldn't tell him her name. So, the man from the bathroom screams. He tries to leave, but the doors are welded shut, so he just runs around screaming. Steph asks Mimi to go get the stray. He says if you find him, he can be your play toy for the rest of the night.
Well, squeaky toy. But this guy, he is sad and pathetic as a human being. I guess he took this girl that he thought that he loved.
He'd been dating her for a while.
Yeah.
And he brought her to this little janky Mexican cantina to propose. And he got shut down because she wants to start dating this goth girl.
Yeah, and that was in a Susie Sue and the Banshees cover band.
Yeah. Sad.
And then he just lamented the entire... He was like crying. He ate the ring, and he was just...
No, he didn't eat the ring till later.
No.
Steph asked Mimi to go get her, and she can be her play toy for the rest of the night. Bathroom man hides upstairs. Cricket and Hector are still tied up. Carrie was untied because she won the game. She wins the Kevin Bacon game, so Carrie gets untied so she can stretch her legs, but Hector and Cricket are still tied up. Cricket tells Hector she has drugs and a razor blade stashed in her panties. Who does that? Who puts sharp implements in their underwear?
Well, here's my thing. Where else would she put it? She didn't have pockets in her dress. So she put it in her panties.
Does she not have her bra on?
Her? Probably not. I'm surprised she had panties on, to be honest.
A bra is a woman's pocket.
Yes, I understand that, but that was a really form-fitting outfit that she had on.
Yeah, but they make strapless bras.
Get what you're saying. I don't know.
Okay, so... Like I said, Cricket tells Hector she has drugs and a razor blade stashed in her panties. So he tries to get them free. And both of their hands are tied to a chair. So this is a very interesting situation to walk into. Mimi gets to the bathroom man, and he is very pathetic. She goes to hit him and he ducks, and she hits her hand on an AC unit instead. He runs off. She goes downstairs, and Hector's head is in between Cricket's legs inside her dress. She says, "Oh, Last Supper. I dig it." She finds the bathroom man hiding behind the bar.
Well, and he's got a unique hairstyle.
He has a fro.
Yeah, he's got a true fro.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's hard to hide that.
And he's wearing like a 1980s style sky blue.
Yeah, baby blue ruffled
tux with ruffles and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
He was dressed to impress. He was trying to win this girl's heart, and it all fell in his face. Next in the kitchen, they have moved on to cooking Ross, the guard, and Yannick has been advised not to use basil or he will be skinned.
Well, the first meal, the appetizer, was called the manager's special.
Yes, and it was an appetizer, and it was uncooked. It was raw.
But they loved it. They loved it.
Oh yeah, they ate it up. Anson and Carrie go to the stockroom to get supplies. Yannick gave them a list and wrote basil in code so Carrie sees the code and picks some up.
Okay, the code is not just any code. It is the Portugal Army Code. And if you don't know what it is, I guess, the worst code you can ever find, because it's basically you capitalize the first letter, or you capitalize the letters you want to point out, so it's easy to identify. It's not very code-ish.
Right. It's not like anybody can break it.
Does not take a master code breaker to figure this out.
Carrie tells Anson she has a crush on him and sticks her finger in his mouth. She confesses that fate has brought them together, and she hates Mimi and how she talks down to him. Hector is still trying to free his hands with the dull razor blade he got out of Cricket's panties. Evidently, Cricket did a lot of blow during this semester in college, and that's what dulled the razor blade. But, you gotta get what you can get. They talk about going out if they ever get out of this alive. And we see that the bathroom man is hanging in the kitchen upside down.
Well, she's super excited. Mimi is super excited about this guy because he's like, I might be a bleeder.
Yeah, he said that he's a free bleeder.
And she's like, you're a bleeder? Really? Mm-hmm. Like, she got super excited about it.
With Ross, Yannick makes a rump roast. Anson tells Steph that he needs to talk to his brother, and they go into the cooler and talk about the situation. Steph tells Mimi to keep an eye on Carrie. His brother says, so Steph and Anson go into the cooler and they talk about the whole Carrie situation. How Carrie likes Anson, and Anson talks about how, he met the girl at the gas station, but he doesn't know what to do because Carrie likes him and everything like that.
Well, and then they sort of go into like a backstory of how Steph and Mimi met because they met at the last year's barbecue.
Yeah.
and so they show like this like silent film of her, helping the butchering,
No, it shows him cutting the head off of one of her co-workers and Mimi taking it and humping the head because she hated that person.
Yeah, and then that's when they knew that they loved each other.
That's when Steph knew that she was a little deranged.
She was on the level.
Yeah.
And so
Steph's advice to him was to...
And Steph is the younger brother to Anson. So I thought that was interesting.
yeah. His brother says, spend time with her, make sure she is legit. Okay, so Carrie gets into the alter ego part until Hector gets free. Hector kisses Cricket and goes to free Yannick, but hears a noise, so he comes back. And Anson was no longer... What? I missed something. Okay, so during this period of time, Yannick made chili. He put the basil in it. And after the conversation in the cooler, Steph went back to Yannick and started sampling the chili. And Anson went back to where he was going to go. But all hell broke loose at this point. So since Hector got loose, when Anson and his brother came out of the cooler, Anson wanted to fight Hector, but he comes out of the kitchen wielding an axe. And Hector tells him, because Hector's a man that fights with his hands, Hector tells him, he said, let's fight like men, let's fight with our hands. But he tells him, I don't want to do that in front of the women, let's go upstairs.
Instead of big ol' axes.
Yeah, let's go upstairs. So they go upstairs. They have to move furniture and everything else because there's no room to fight up there because there's a big table up there for parties and whatnot. So they go up there and they fight. They beat the crap out of each other. And ultimately, in the end, Anson looks up and realizes there's this big, huge, like industrial-sized fan built in the ceiling. He picks up Hector and shoves his head into that fan and kills him.
Yeah.
And
So
hobbles downstairs because they beat the crap out of each
now
other.
we get to our other death scene.
That one was pretty awesome. I give that one a 5 out of 5.
Yeah. Yeah, because he gets decapitated. And I think it was a very creative thing. And, I mean, because he gave him, like, Hector gave him a second because he was trying to do some old school Scorsese from Roadhouse. And, yeah. But, I mean, he got his ass beat, so, I mean, it's...
Yeah, I mean, that was an awesome one. So during this time, when they were fighting downstairs, Yannick was standing there talking to Steph as he was eating his poisoned chili. It wasn't poisoned. It just had basil in it. But Steph was allergic to basil. And Yannick knew that. And he just sat there and watched him eat this tainted chili.
No, he was actually being... The chef was actually feeding him the chili.
No, he was just sitting there watching him eat it.
Well, I mean, he offered it to him on a few times.
Yeah, I mean, he was just sitting there watching him eat it. Watching him swell up.
Yeah.
Just biding his time. Cricket and Mimi fight in the dining room during this time, too. Hair and scalp is pulled out. Ultimately, Cricket was put into the fish tank, and which she hated so much.
Well, and so we go to our another kill scene. So, I give this one a 4 out of 5 because I liked how she died and the things she hated.
And it was very interesting how they posed her body in it.
Yes, they sort of nicely folded her into the fish.
She looks like she's doing some kind of ballerina pose inside there.
Yeah. It was like a 50-foot fish tank.
Yeah.
I mean, a 50-gallon... No, it was... You said it the other night. It was like...
55-gallon, yeah. So, once it all sinks into Steph that he's actually being poisoned with basil, and he realizes that his tongue is swelling up and his throat's starting to close up, he keeps his promise to Yannick that he will kill him if he tries to feed him basil. And so Steph and Yannick start fighting. And it gets interesting with them. They go back and forth. throwing things, hitting each other. He chokes Yannick with the chain that he's tied up with. They punch each other. Yannick heats up oil on the stove and slings it in his face. Ultimately, he kills Yannick by literally wringing his neck. He takes his face and he literally wrings his neck until his face is turned around totally the opposite direction.
Yeah. So we get to our other kill scene. So what do you think of that one? I thought it was a 3.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was very creative. It's just...
To watch it, though, was like, ugh.
Yeah. So it was really interesting because Yannick explains why he was there before this all happened. To go find out that he doesn't like substitutions. And in his former job, somebody asked for a substitution and he was cooking pufferfish. And
he poisoned the dude.
No. As you put it, a bit of liver of the pufferfish got into the food. And whoops.
Things happen.
Yeah.
Just like a bit of basil got into the chili. Things happen. He believes he is such a good cook that people just need to eat the food the way he presents it. He does not like his recipes to be altered because people think, they have the seniority over him to change his recipes.
Well, that's a typical 4 or 5 star chef mentality. It's like no one tells me what to do. I know what's best for them. It's just... And sometimes, depending on what type of cuisine you're making, it does, you definitely need to... You can't alter certain things. I mean, you just can't because it will destroy the balanced flavors.
So Carrie and Mimi are left in the dining room. Mimi is standing up on the bar. She is in a skin-tight outfit dressed like a black cat. And Carrie says, "Mimi, I can see your camel toe."
Yeah, I can't take you serious because of the size of that camel toe.
Yeah, Carrie doesn't like Mimi, so she's just trying to insult her to make her feel bad now. And evidently, Mimi is very self-conscious about the size of her vagina. And so she gets very embarrassed and gets down, and she's very angry. And it comes after her to kill her. Carrie breaks a bottle on the bar, holds it out, waiting for Mimi to come at her, and just plunges it right into her chest.
So our kill scene score, I give it a 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
I mean...
Timing was perfect.
Yeah, raging like that. What I thought was really cool is when she got stabbed, though, she fell on the ground and the blood came out of the bottle.
Pulls out of the bottle.
And then at the end, she scalps her with the shears. She takes the pruning shears and scalps her with it.
Mm-hmm. So. Anson comes downstairs, beat up, and he and Carrie go into the kitchen to find Steph. Anson tells him Mimi is dead and shows him the note and tries to explain to him that Carrie did this to him by giving Yannick the basil. Anson said he doesn't know what to do. That it's Carrie's responsibility to help because she is a paramedic. She says, "I don't start until Monday." She takes Barry, who is the pathetic dude that got broken up with in the blue suit. She takes Barry and heads off for the stairs. She grabs the bow, the crossbow, and the arrow. Barry is having a lot of trouble trying to get up the stairs, so she grabs the crossbow, waiting for Anson to come after her because his brother's dying, and she knows he's gonna be.
Well, Barry's got a good reason to be limping. I mean, he was used as a piñata and kicked in the groin.
He was kicked, and hit with a cast iron about 50 times.
Hung upside down
By his ankles. I'm sure his ankles are probably, if not broken, the tendons are probably at least bruised. So anyway, where did I get to?
Barry went upstairs. Carrie and Barry went
They
upstairs.
hear a scream, and here comes Anson. She shoots him in the stomach, and he goes down. She says, I'm going to have... Okay, she shoots him in the stomach, and he goes down. She gets Barry upstairs. They go up to where the AC unit is, and they push it out. She helps Barry to get through the hole. Barry is hallucinating. He thinks he sees his girlfriend out there telling him to come out and get to me, Barry. Come on. So Barry wiggles out and goes out head first. And when he hits head first and splat. He's dead.
Kill scene! Score! I give it a 2.
Yeah, it's not that great.
No.
But,
I think the hallucination part was really interesting because she was in a wedding dress. And,
yeah.
He was just... That man was just down... But he died with a smile on his face.
Yeah, poor guy. But Carrie takes it really personally. She feels really awful about it. So, as Carrie's starting to climb out, Anston bites a hole out of her calf and tries to pull her back in. She tells Anston that she's going to have to soak her finger in vinegar for a week. Just to get the grossness off from him so he can go burn in hell. And she kicks him. She turns around, climbs out foot first, falls to the ground she lands right beside Barry. She looks at Barry. She tells him sorry because he's dead. His brain matter and blood is all over the pavement.
And then proceeds to tell him that he's going to take his moped.
Yes, I'm taking your scooter, Barry. The man's dead. He doesn't care. So she gets on Barry's scooter and she takes off. She gets about 2 yards. Then she's hit by a paramedic.
By an ambulance. In communist Russia, you don't come to ambulance comes to you.
Yeah, so the ambulance hit her. They get out to try to help her. And the EMT realizes he knows her.
Yeah.
Because they went to class together.
But the driver of the ambulance was high as a kite.
Yeah, he had been smoking too much of the reefer.
And yeah. So they awkwardly lift her up off the ground in the way you're not supposed to.
Yeah, they don't put her on a hard board or secure her neck or anything, so it's a wonder she wasn't paralyzed. They do not need to be no EMTs. Anyway, so after that, it cuts to 54 days later, and Anson is dressed in a tuxedo, and he's in his car, with his brother's head on a stick next to him in the passenger seat. He goes into the same gas station, bringing a rose, and goes in to talk to Bethany, and to get sorbet, of course.
And 1 spoon or 2 spoons. And then he was going through some of his plight of that, I hope this is not a deal breaker, but I have to poop in a
Colostomy bag.
for possibly the rest of my life. He also has like fake teeth. He's looking rough.
So he goes in to talk to Bethany to see if he can get a date with her, and he explains that he apologizes that it's been a while since he's been there to see her because he went through a rough patch, and
he's got a poop and colostomy bag.
He got beat up kind of bad, and he hopes that's not a hindrance for them going forward. And he does go number 2 in a colostomy bag and, all this other stuff, which I would not have mentioned at that time, but okay. It pans over after he divulges all of that really weird information to divulge that soon before even going on a date with somebody. And Carrie is outside in the bushes taking pictures of Anson and Bethany, keeping track of Anson's whereabouts, no less.
Yep. So...
And that is the end of that movie.
That is gravy. So, final score?
I give this movie a 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5 for me also. So what makes this movie for me is the cast. If it was anybody else, it would not be, I think, as clever. A lot of it was the delivery. It was that snappy delivery. There was a lot of foreshadowing, but it was in your face foreshadowing. It was just sort of like mentioned on a sidebar. Like it was mentioned. Like the whole pickled head thing was actually mentioned earlier.
Yeah, it's mentioned.
It was stuff that mentioned that if anything would happen to Anson, he would pickle his head. It would be some sort of Greek tragedy.
Yeah, Steph said, if anything ever happened to you, Anson, I would pickle your head and put it on a spike. And I would take you everywhere because you're my brother and I wouldn't ever want to be without you, even if you were dead. So that's what Anson did when he died.
And, and like with the same with the fishing, the tank, she was on the phone with her friend, and it was just sort of like mentioned, like, I really hate this tank, it's going to be the death of me, or,
Yeah, it was.
And so, it was great foreshadowing. It was the snappy lines. It was the music makes it. I think if it wasn't for the music, and if it went for your generic music, your generic creepy music, it wouldn't be so interesting. I think it would ruin a lot of it. The colors, it's not your typical horror movie at all. And, it's just... Well, you can find this on Hulu, I think. I think that's what you said you can find it on.
Yeah, it is on Hulu. We just already have a copy of it, so we watched our copy. But it is on Hulu. That's the only other source we found it on was Hulu.
Yeah,
so.
there are certain people that were not happy with it on Rotten Tomatoes. Don't go thinking that it's a comedy. Prior didn't.
It's more of a gory horror flick than comedy, but it is comical.
Yeah. So, because I think a lot of people misunderstood.
And it is not rated, so...
Yeah. Overall, I do recommend this one.
Yes.
Definitely give it a watch. And we'll see you next time. We'll spook you later.
Bye.